We're continuing our discussion here about Moses leading the sheep of his father-in-law, and he was going after the sheep in the wilderness, and he came to Mount Horeb. So what I'd like to do is look at the midrashim of this special verse and see why the significance that the midrashim see in this verse. But first, I'd like to read, even though I want to begin with the midrashim, I'd like to always begin with also with the commentary of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. But first, let's read midrash. The midrash says as follows. This midrash comes from Rabbi Kasher. Rabbi Kasher collected all the midrashim, and this was a gift to us, to our yeshiva from Temple Sinai. We are grateful to the librarians at Temple Sinai who gave us this very large collection. So it states, Moses was a shepherd. So that citing the verse from Psalms chapter 11, verse 4. Who will investigate the righteous? When I'm translating. Mi bochen with tzaddik, shenemar Hashem tzaddik yivchan. God will test the righteous. God will test the righteous. Ubameu bochno. How will God test the righteous? B'maretzon. God will test the righteous, not by dropping them, not by dropping them off of a plane in the middle of Afghanistan and seeing, how many people you can decimate. And God will not test them by an SAT test. God will not test them the way our Americans in society or the world today tests people, by seeing it, what your net worth, so to speak, is. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem Yisbarach, tests people with maretzon, with a flock of sheep. God tests people with a flock of sheep. Badak David bitzon. God investigated David with sheep. Umatzu ro'eh yofeh. And God said, you know what, David? You're a great shepherd. He said, David, you're a great shepherd. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. God said, Mi shehu yodei l'rot hatzon yavo v'yireh ba'ami. God says, the one who knows how to lead a flock of sheep, he can lead my people. The leader knows how to lead, whether it's a flock of sheep or a group of people. This is the verse from Psalm 78:71. And the Midrash cites the verse. Me'achar alot heviu l'rot b'Yaakov amo. Ba'af Moshe, even Moses. Why did God choose Moses? How did he know? How did God know that Moses was the right one? Well, bachnu HaKadosh Baruch Hu el vitzon. God tested Moses with a flock of sheep. Listen to this beautiful midrash. Amru Rabboseinu, Keshaya Moshe Rabbeinu Ol HaShalom Ro'et Sono Shal Yitro. When the rabbis taught, when Moshe Rabbeinu was shepherding the flock of Yisro in the wilderness, Bamidbar, Barach Mimenu Gedi, a kid, a little goat ran away. V'ratz achra, Moshe ran to this goat, Ad shegiah lachsof, until he came to this pond. Once he got there, his damnu will breach hashamayim v'amar agdi l'shtut. So he came to this place, and he saw that this sheep was wounded, and he saw that this goat needed to drink. Kivan shegiah Moshe etzlo amar. When Moses came next to the goat, he said, "Ani lo hayiti she'ratz hayita mimnei tzamei." I didn't realize you were running because you were thirsty. Hayefata. I didn't realize how tired you were. Here, kivu al ketefo. He lifted up the goat on his shoulders, and he was walking back. Can you imagine? I know some people who have such love for all of God's creatures that they would do this, but today we probably would dismiss those people, like make fun of them, God forbid. But that's what Moshe Rabbeinu did. He saw one of his goats or sheep running away. He ran after the goat, and then he saw that the goat was drinking the water, from a pool, and he said, I didn't realize that you were running away because you were thirsty and you're tired. And he carried the goat back on his shoulders, or the sheep back on his shoulders. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God says, Yesh lecha rachamim linhog tzono shel basar v'dam. I see how much mercy you have when you're leading a flock of flesh and of a flock of sheep. Chayecha tateret soni Yisrael. I swear you're going to lead my sheep Israel. And therefore, it says that Moses was the shepherd. So God chose Moses to lead his flock because Moses was such a gentle soul in leading the flock of the children and leading his own flock of sheep. And for this reason, God selected him. So, and this is what the Lubavitcher Rebbe says. Yisro was an intelligent person. Having served as an advisor to Pharaoh and as leader of Midian, he surely discerned Moses' intelligence and knew about his aristocratic status, both as the son of Amram and as a prince in Pharaoh's court. It seems strange then that he should put Moses to work as a shepherd. Here we have this prince of Egypt, and he says, okay, you know what? You're gonna do my job as a shepherd. Curious if anybody here has worked as a shepherd. Anybody on the Zoom? One explanation is that Yisro sensed, consciously or unconsciously, that Moses was destined to lead God's flock, and therefore employed him in a way that will foster his innate leadership traits and hone them in preparation for his future role. A lesson we can learn from this is even that those of us who feel that their social stature and intellectual training qualify them for communal leadership should not eschew teaching young children God's flock. The holiest job you could have is teaching God's flock, which is young children. We should rather overlook our qualifications, just as Moses did. Tending God's flock is itself the best preparation for leadership positions. So if you want to be in a communal leadership position, you have to start by teaching children. That's what the Lubavitcher Rebbe says. And then he says one more paragraph about this. When Moses found the stray kid, he did not get angry and punish it for leaving the fold. He understood it ran away in search of water, not because it wanted to rebel. Says the Rebbe, this is how we should treat our flock, our children and students. If they stray, it's because they are thirsty for God, but do not realize that they can quench their thirst with the water of Torah. The true leader realizes the real reason his charges flee, and therefore chases after them with love to bring them back to the fold. What a beautiful idea from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, that when the leader's charges flee, the leader runs after them and offers them Torah to drink, to help nourish them and bring them back. Okay, beautiful. So this is how the Lubavitcher Rebbe is interpreting the Midrashim about this verse. And now I'd like to share a couple of other Midrashim. Just pause for a second if anybody has any questions. Okay, I see no questions, so we continue. We go on. Hold on. I would like to read what the Midrash says, because I was focusing on the Midrashim on this verse. Hold on one second. Let me just pause the recording.